talk to me a little bit more about dairy. There was a 2025 review that I believe you commented on. It suggested that there was no clear advantage to low fat over full fat dairy for heart health. Can you unpack that and how your view on dairy fat and the consumption of dairy foods has evolved?
Yeah, that was, I can't remember which paper that was, if my name was one. Well, I was not on one of the papers that came to that conclusion, but I think there probably is some advantage to low fat dairy if you replace those missing calories. In other words, the calories from the dairy fat that was removed, if you replace that with healthy fats in your diet. Now, that wouldn't be one-to-one. Sort of many people would do that just unconsciously. If you're going to consume low fat compared to high fat dairy, you are going to replace those calories that were removed with something. And unfortunately, because unhealthy carbohydrates are the major source of calories in the U.S. diet, on average, people will replace dairy fat with unhealthy carbohydrates, unless you're pretty conscious about it. But in the long term, well, just most importantly, dairy fat is not a healthy fat. It's about 2/3 saturated fat. And again, very small amounts of polyunsaturated fat, linoleic acid. So the PS ratio, go back to that, PS ratio is very low for dairy fat. Compared to especially plant oils, animal fat, in our studies, we see that fat from red meat may be a little bit worse than dairy fat, but some of that is what's coming along with that fat in the diet and red meat. So I'm not sure that there's really a substantial difference between dairy fat and red meat fat, or tallow, basically, or butter. So again, the important thing is that we emphasize the healthy fats in the diet. But on a population basis, it's interesting, as someone in public health, you have to think about this, that low-fat dairy products have no impact on cardiovascular disease because that fat is always consumed. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not terribly enthusiastic about low-fat dairy products. The dairy industry loves low-fat dairy products because they get to sell the low-fat products at the same price as a full-fat product, and sometimes even more. And then they can go sell the butter or the cream separately, or ice cream. So they make a double profit that way. But in the end, somebody eats that fat. It's often the same person, but it may be some other person some of the time.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Do you ever think about the practicality of the substitution? So in that case, if you're looking at a food like dairy, you mentioned there that dairy fats are not as healthy as plant fats. But from a practical point of view, I can't see people swapping, say, a cup of yogurt, which is also rich in calcium and protein, for canola oil. So if you come back to like the actual practical diet that someone consuming and think kind of beyond just the replacement of the fat, what would you say is a sensible amount of dairy and the type of dairy to include in a healthy diet? Or if someone's not, what are they eating instead that would help ensure the same kind of nutritional adequacy?
Sure. Well, lots of choices out there. That's what makes nutrition interesting. But a lot of this does come down to simple, practical choices. So if you're going to have a sandwich for lunch, is it going to be a cheese sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich or a bologna sandwich? And some people say dairy is neutral. Well, that's a bit misleading. It's in the middle, but it doesn't mean you can eat all the dairy products you want and nothing is going to happen. It's just it happens to be in the middle of a spectrum. And if you really want to have the optimal choice, you would tend to have more peanut butter sandwiches than cheese sandwiches. That might have some cheese sandwiches now and then, but definitely not have bologna sandwich or a red meat sandwich, a beef sandwich on a regular basis. So there's that kind of practical choice. And then there's also the choice of what you're going to cook with. And that's sort of an easy, obvious choice. Is it going to be, although it was more complicated when trans fat was out there, but getting that off the table has made things a lot simpler. That in general, not beef tallow, not butter, but on a day-to-day basis, use liquid plant oils. And they're all pretty healthy. Again, we use olive oil most of the time, but soybean oil is also good. Sometimes you don't want that special taste of olive oil. Canola oil is also good. They both have a good amount of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. So those are some of the kind of practical choices.
So the message is still to limit dairy if someone is consuming it. And what I'm hearing is that low-fat options, presumably those without added refined sugars, are going to be better than full-fat dairy, particularly if then your cooking oil is not butter and it is plant oils instead. In terms of if someone is consuming dairy, is there any signal from your research or other researchers on if there's a difference between milk and yogurt and cheese or fermented and non-fermented?
There has been a hypothesis that cheese is somehow better, the same number of calories of dairy from cheese versus milk, and it would be mostly full fat or close to full fat milk to be comparable in fat. Doesn't seem to be very much difference. There was a careful study done at Laval University, a controlled feeding study, and LDL cholesterol was a little bit lower on the cheese fat compared to the milk fat, but they also had, I think it was olive oil and canola oil as alternatives, and the LDL was much lower on the plant oils than on either of the sources of dairy fat in that particular study, which fits with what we see epidemiologically too, that we don't see any big difference between dairy in the form of cheese versus milk. We do see some evidence of lower risks of diabetes and weight gain with yogurt. That may have to do with the microbiome. I think that's not 100% certain yet. We don't have really strong short-term studies to back that up yet, and we do need some more research there. But for the moment, it looks like you'd be better off having, and it's what I do too, most of my dairy from yogurt. Enjoy some cheese now and then. That's, I think, something to enjoy. But having cheese as a very big part of the diet is not going to be optimal.
From a planetary health perspective, how do you reconcile dairy's nutritional value with its environmental cost?
Yeah, first of all, dairy is not essential for any nutrient. You can get everything in dairy from other sources. And one other exchange that I didn't mention there was plant milks, basically. Well, some places are trying to not allow them to be called milks, but I think we can call them milks. And it's fascinating. You go to a store, there's, dozens and dozens of plant alternatives to milk out there. And you can't make any generalization about them, except that they have almost all of them the same amount of calcium and vitamin D and vitamin A that milk does, because they're all fortified, including that regular milk is fortified with vitamin D and with vitamin A. That's not naturally present in those amounts. But it turns out that the probably nutritionally optimal or best plant milk alternative is soy milk. It has, in fact, looks a lot better than cow milk does. It's got very good amount of essential fatty acids, both omega-6 and omega-3 in there. It's got the protein has equal biological quality, the way it's being measured, as cow milk does. And about 24 randomized studies showing better effects of soy milk compared to cow milk on cardiovascular risk factors. And limited amount of epidemiologic study we have for soy does show inverse relationships, as you would expect, for heart disease risk. So from a health standpoint, the soy milk looks at least as good, but probably much better than cow milk for overall cardiometabolic risk, and will give you the essential nutrients that people say we need to. The rationale for drinking milk is based on primarily you're going to get calcium that way. But some of the other milk products actually have not much healthy fat, and they're not much fat at all, don't have much fiber. You actually do get some fiber with the soy milk. And we usually say unsweetened soy milk. Actually, if you put in a teaspoon or two of sugar to make it taste a little bit sweeter, a little bit more comparable to the sweetness of milk, that's not going to be a real issue. It's like with sugar-sweetened beverages, 15, 17, 20 teaspoons of sugar in those products.
Every new year, we talk about diets, workouts, habits. But the more I learn about health, the more I believe the best place to start is with a clear picture of what's happening inside your body. Consider it like a car service, but for your body. A routine check-in that helps you understand what's running well and what might need a little attention. That's why I use Function. Function gives you access to over 100 biomarkers each year. Things like hormones, inflammation, metabolic health, nutrients, and even environmental toxins. These are tests offered through Function, and they provide a far deeper understanding of your health than the average annual physical. When I got my first full panel back, some results were expected and others genuinely caught me off guard. Seeing that data and how it changed over time has helped me make more informed, confident decisions about my health. It's not about replacing your doctor, it's about being more informed when you walk into the room. Testing is fast and convenient through 2,000 plus lab locations across the United States. And the wild thing is that if you were to order all of these tests independently, you could easily spend over $10,000. Whereas Function makes it $365 a year, literally $1 a day, for ongoing access to your biomarkers and personalized insights based on your unique results, all tracked securely on the Function platform. This new year, give yourself the gift of clarity, understanding what's actually going on inside your body and making evidence-based lifestyle changes from there. Learn more and join using my link at functionhealth.com/Simon Hill and use the gift code SIMON25 for a $25 credit towards your membership.